Good morning, guys. I look back at my videos and I realize that I ramble. So, with that being said, I'm going to be trying to do a lot of editing to cut this down and make it concise. So, let's get into it. Hey guys, so today is December 3rd. I am on CD 34 and DPO 18. Yeah, 18. This video, we're just going to cover pretty much whenever my ovulation strips from whenever I first started ovulating. I don't know how to put it in while I'm talking, so I will do it right now. And then I'm going to cover the pregnancy test from DPO 7 all the way up to DPO 18. I used a couple of different tests, but the majority of them were from the holy grail of the first response early pregnancy test and the easy at home, which is suggested by Premom, which is the primary app that I use to track those progressions. I will insert a picture of the Cheapie pregnancy test now. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into it. So just starting off, these were my ovulation tip strips. Because I have PCOS. Okay, guys, so for those of you who may not know, I have PCOS, and with PCOS, my LH levels that I was tracking for prior cycles, they do this like wave thing. They go up and down, up and down. My body does not naturally ovulate, or it wasn't, so, because that could change. So what would happen is my body would continually try and peak, so the LH levels they would surge up and go down, but it would never quite peak. And so I kept getting like really close to positive and then not positive, really close to positive and not positive. And I would never ovulate, which is why I pretty much never had a period. So I stopped taking ovulation tests after like the second or third cycle. But for this cycle, I did take ovulation tests just because I was on FRER and I was taking Letrozole, and I knew that with those, I would have a better chance of actually seeing when I actually ovulated and increasing my chances of conceiving. So I used them to determine like approximately when I was going to baby dance. Now, me and Sean were not in the same area, so I actually had to fly out to him once I started getting like closer to the peak. And I determined when to start taking this test based off of what Google was saying the average person would ovulate, and that was anywhere between CD 11 and CD 20. So I started taking it at
it's
CD
in pregnancy mode, so you can't see the
this
CD
is what I
numbers.
got. All right, so you can see at CD 12, the first day I took it, I actually was getting close to ovulation. And then CD 13 is the day that I was supposed to fly out. So I took 3 tests that day. The third one is not depicted, but I took one early in the morning and I was like, oh my gosh, I think that's a positive. Well, it's technically a positive. And then I took one right before I was about to leave, and it was definitely positive. I was like, just hold out, please don't peak. And then when I got there, I took one and I peaked. So yeah, so we definitely had sex, aka baby danced. And then when I came back for the CDs, which was DPO4, my tests, as you can see, were like low, but they were still there, which makes sense now because I was pregnant. And then I took one on 9 DPO just to see if the rumors were true that you would get positive if you were pregnant, and I got a positive, so yeah. All right, guys, without further ado, these are just side pregnancy tests that I took. Those 2 pink ones were leftovers, and this one is one that I had to bust out of the first response digital test just because it was a little weird and it was acting funky. But so 7 DPO, 8 DPO were both negative. And then 9 DPO is whenever I got my first trace, and I took it in the morning and the afternoon. 10 DPO, I thought it was going to get a little darker. It didn't. All these with the AMs are first morning urine. And I was a little concerned up until the 12th because it wasn't getting darker. And I'm like, isn't it supposed to double between 9 and 12? And I couldn't see the difference. But these pregnancy tests are not as receptive as the first response. So with that being said, don't freak yourself out if you're doing these progression videos. All else fails, go get blood work. So yeah, on DPO 11 and DPO 14, which I don't know where 14 is, but I took one. Those were the days that I actually went and got my blood work done, just so they could see the progression. It was 3 days between the two. And DPO 18 is today. So there we go, guys. All right, guys, now for the Holy Grail, which is the first response, early response pregnancy test. As you can see, is a better line progression than with the Cheapies. And again, DPO 11 and DPO 14 is whenever I went to go get my blood work drawn. And I will insert what those levels were. 11 was 61.2 and DPO 14 was 219. So pretty much it quadrupled and a half in 3 days, and it's supposed to double, which I hear is pretty normal. So it's not necessarily an indicator of multiples or anything like that. It's just, it is what it is. Yeah. But first response, I got really, really, really strong ones starting DPO 17 and 16, and DPO about 11 through 14 is when I would have expected to have my period. So yeah. So in comparison, just to zoom out a little bit, that's what first response looks like in comparison to the Cheapies. So as you can see, first response picks up a lot better. The Cheapie, at least for easy home, it picked it up, but it's not as reassuring, I'll say. All right, guys, so I hope that this ovulation test progression, as well as this pregnancy test progression, has helped you guys on your journey. For my sisters who struggle with infertility and PCOS, such as myself, don't give up hope. It took me 7, almost 8 years to conceive, but look where we are now. And don't lose hope. I know that it is a whole shindig, you know, because there's especially when you suffer from PCOS and infertility, because at first you have to make sure you're ovulating. You have to go through all the tests. Then you have to make sure that your body goes through the motions. And once your body goes through the motions, you know, that's like the first check, and you get excited for that. And then you hope that you actually conceive. And then that's a next check, and you're excited for that. And then you're hoping that it actually sticks, because you had to get help in order for it to happen, especially for you IVF ladies who you have an embryo and it's transferred and you're just hoping it sticks. So you're hoping for sticky babies, and that in itself is something. And then you're hoping, like everybody else, that it progresses to the point of a heartbeat being created. So then that those things drop off. And then you're hoping that from those heartbeat creating, you're like, let me make it to first trimester. And then from first trimester, it's, gosh, just let me make it to where the baby will be viable on the outside and they can sustain themselves or something like that. You know, so I understand, because right now I'm past the first couple notches. I'm waiting for that heartbeat. I'm waiting for that first trimester to be over. So believe me, I understand. I just wanted to make sure that I annotated it here so that other people could share my journey in life, especially for 2019 and 2020. So once I get through all of this, then I'll post it on my regular Instagram and Facebook, and maybe I'll let people know this is the YouTube that documented it all. But I just didn't want any transference from people from those social media sites coming over here and are coming over here and then going back and bringing it to everybody. So anyway, I hope that this helped. I hope that I'm doing a little bit better with the rambling, and I hope that I'm doing a little bit better with the video quality and everything else. I'm working on it. Until next time, guys. Bye.